All right. Does anyone know how to whistle? Can you?
Oh. That was really wimpy,
That was
but it worked.
really bad. That was Steven. That wasn't either of us.
Yeah.
So do not put that on us.
Yeah, that was a really wimpy whistle.
So, yeah, there's still people getting drinks, and that's fine. And if we're in the middle of talking and you want to get a refresh, feel free to just get up and head on over. We won't be upset or offended.
We will talk about you behind your back afterwards. But
Yeah. So first of all, we're really, really grateful to see everybody here. When we were first asked to do the talk, we were like, yeah, of course, we'd be thrilled to do it. And we didn't know if anybody would even be interested. So it's cool to see all of you. And we only have like 4 major points, and we'll have examples and stories that sort of relate to each point. But essentially the overarching theme of everything we're going to say is driven by intentionality. So the fact that everybody's spending part of their time in New York here at this talk is intentional. So everybody's doing that well right now.
I'm making him talk more because I'm getting over a cold, and it sounds like I'm in the middle of going through puberty. And so forgive me if my voice cracks or whatever. I have 3 kids, so I'm long past puberty stage.
So everybody's aware.
Just so everybody knows.
Yeah. So I'm Kenny, and Danny is in the blue.
Yep.
It's sort of our thing. Kenny, typically if there's a red and a blue, it's Kenny in red and Danny in blue, just so that everybody knows. Although we're not expecting anybody to remember that. Just if you see us later, just say King Brothers, and we will both answer. That's going to be just fine. Just a little bit of brief information about who we are, where we come from. We're twin brothers. We started our company in 2011, and we work in Minneapolis, which is in Minnesota,
Minneapolis, not Minneapolis.
Yeah, some people say Minneapolis, but it's Minneapolis. How many people have been to Minneapolis? Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
Yeah. How many of you have flown over Minneapolis?
Everybody. Yeah. So our business is we do custom clothing in Minneapolis. We're appointment only. We don't have a store, and we exclusively do custom. We don't offer anything in addition to the custom offerings other than ties and socks and that type of thing. So a lot of the examples that we're going to share are focused on our business experience. And we're well aware of the fact that everybody's got a different business model and a different story and a different market. And all of that stuff greatly affects how you put into practice whatever business principles are important to you. But I think a lot of what we're going to say is going to be overarching and applicable to any business, whether you own your own, whether you work for someone, whether you're here right now doing this kind of on the side and hoping to get into it full time, which we've done. We did that for a couple of years before we went full time. These principles are it's sort of back to basics, but it's important to sort of be reminded of these basics in order to be able to perfect them and get them to the place where you're making money because of them.
Right. And ultimately, nothing we say matters unless you guys make money. And that's the whole goal. That's why we're in the business. As much as we love this business, we wouldn't still be in it if it didn't make us money. So that's kind of we're not going to necessarily divulge all of the financials of our business, but we are going to try to give some specific examples of how to make money doing this thing. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we all have to focus on our strengths. If we're focused, it's sort of counterintuitive because in academia they say, well, if you're not good at this subject in school, study it more, focus more on it so that you can get better at it. From a business standpoint, it's kind of like, why would I focus on the things that I'm not great at to best case scenario become average? But when I focus on the things that I'm good at, it continues to set me apart from other people in a way that I wouldn't be able to do if I was focusing on the things I'm not good at.
I would imagine that everybody in this room can think about at least one thing, but probably a few things that when you actually think about it, you're probably better at this particular thing than most everybody that you know, and you probably don't have to work very hard to be that good at it. And if you're having a hard time identifying things that you're good at. Think about the things that you do that drain you, that frustrate you, that don't energize you. Once you're done with them, you just want to take a nap. Those are at least your weaknesses. At least you can identify the weaknesses and think about the other strengths. But the fact is, when you're aware of your strengths and you say, you know, I know that I'm great at this thing and I'm going to focus my energy on this thing that I'm already great at, instead of trying to become okay at the things that I'm not good at. For us, some of the things that we're not good at would be, you know, math, that type of stuff, sort of the back end stuff of the business. We don't like it. We're not good at it. It doesn't energize us. So we choose to not focus on it. Get by. Just get by. That's all you got to do.
Until you, I mean, wouldn't it be great if we were all in a position where we could just hire everything out? Oh, I don't like this. I'm going to hire it out. Oh, I don't feel like doing this. I'm going to hire it out. We're not saying that because we're not there. We probably never will be at the place where we can just hire people to do everything we don't want to do. But it is a matter of figuring out and identifying what are you better at than most people, and then doubling down on it and being intentional about, listen, when I've got free time, guess what I'm not doing? I'm not going through my receipts and doing that stuff. What I'm doing is I'm coming up with creative ways to promote myself to other people, because that's what I'm naturally good at. That's what you know, it excites me and energizes me. I don't try to best case scenario become average at something that I'm not great at.
At Thanksgiving, my plate is mashed potatoes, turkey, and stuffing. I don't mess around with cranberries. I don't mess around with the red cabbage. I don't mess around with the squash. I'm completely focused on these three things that I know I love, that really energize me. And they're, you know, I'll have a bite or I'll do whatever, but if you think about your life as a plate, and which things are taking up the most time and energy, and are those the things that actually things that I'm good at, and actually things that are going to help me get to here, as opposed to best case scenario here. So that's the first point. Focus on your strengths. Right. That's all we really need to say about that. It's pretty self-explanatory.
So how many of you, just curious, how many of you run your own business? Okay? How many of you are a lot of us, how many of you are in some way in charge of or do any sort of like promotion of your business? Okay? So I think between those two things, it's most everybody. Point number 2 is buy a camera. It's simple, it's easy, but you need to be a professional photographer to make iPhone pictures look good, even with portrait mode. And a good camera will make you look like you're taking professional pictures, or you have a professional photographer on your staff. It's simple. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be bulky. It doesn't have to be expensive. This right here, sorry, I'm grabbing mine.
This is so exciting.
Ooh, yeah. This right here is a Sony a6000. It's point and shoot. It's super dummy friendly. I'm not a professional photographer, but if you look at my Instagram, my pictures are pretty good. And it's all this. We've done like entire campaigns with this camera. It has a little bit of an upgraded lens. This entire rig is less than $1,000.
It was $700 when we bought it, and then one of us dropped it.
If you're doing your own...
So we had to buy a new lens.
I dropped it. Yeah, I did. And then I lost the battery right before we came here, so we had to go drop $80 on a new battery too. So, you're right, Kenny. You're right. He likes to hear that sometimes.
Yeah, I do. It's important.
But it allows you, in your intentionality, being consistent across all platforms is really, really important. It's ridiculous to think you can have a website that looks like garbage, but an awesome Instagram, and clients are going to be attracted to you. They won't be. You need to be consistent across all platforms. Yeah. And this right here is the most invaluable tool of our business. This is the best investment we ever made. Not only do some of our clients shop on our Instagram, it's like we have other things too, other than what we have made up and taken photos of, but they'll go through and they'll be like, I want that, I want that, I want that. If we didn't have this, they wouldn't be attracted to those photos. It also saves us money because we're not at the position where anytime something cool is happening or anytime we get an awesome fit, we have to have that friend who's a professional photographer trying to build his or her portfolio, you know, at our disposal to come take pictures of it for us. we're at a position where, whoa, that's a great fit. Let me grab my camera. Because not only am I going to benefit from it, but my client's going to be like, oh, cool. Like, they want to take pictures of me. It's simple.
The other benefit of having a camera, which allows you to have consistency and fresh content at any given time, is you think about some of the major big box competitors. They have locations in most major markets. They have salespeople within those markets. They have sometimes hundreds of salespeople. If that salesperson from XYZ competitor has a great fit,
And we all know who we're talking
right,
about. But
has a great fit or a really cool pattern or design or whatever, and they want to post it to the company Instagram, they can't because they don't have access to that. That's not something that they have the power to do.
they don't have the ability, those big competitors with salespeople running all around the country, they don't have the ability to control their own brand because they're too big. And for us, it's like, you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to run a TV ad on college football Saturdays because Jose Banks already was running 2 per commercial break. So I'm not going to play that game. I'm going to figure out, well, what game can I beat them at? And I'm going to do that. And so this will really help you. It allows us to have active, fresh content all the time with different body types. Suit Supply doesn't have big guys wearing suits in their ads or their marketing materials. Indochino has like the same 2 or 3 guys in all of their photos. Our clients are attracted to, whoa, I saw you fit like this really big guy or this tiny person. That's cool. I bet they can fit me. And our camera allows us to not only communicate that message to people, but to do it consistently and with content that across the board is good.
And on a whim, if something comes up or you have this great experience with a client, you can post it in 2 minutes. You don't have to run it through up the flagpole and get permission and send it through the process.
This camera is its own hotspot. So I can take photos from this camera right now and post it in 20 seconds. So it's all about figuring out, all of our businesses are different. Kenny already said this. We all operate in different cities. Everybody needs to have a camera. If you're a good photographer, buy a nicer camera than this. I don't care. Your pictures are going to be better. But if you're like me, who's like, I don't want to take a photography class. I want to be in a situation where I take pictures and then I immediately have access to them. I don't want to deal with SIM cards and all this other stuff. I just want it to be simple. I want my camera to simplify my business, not to add more to it. So I got this one. But cameras are something where it's, if you're running your own promotions and you're posting and you have access and the ability to send new photos for your website, you have to have a camera like this.
And it's maybe not going to translate into a new suit sale tomorrow, but the fact that you have consistency now, you're controlling your own brand and you're communicating a consistent message to anybody who even Google searches you, it's going to elevate you and it's going to pay off down the road.
Yeah, and just an example before we move on, you know how Instagram does like your top 9 liked photos at the end of every year? Our top 9 liked photos, every single one of them we took with this camera. And we have other photos from magazines or whatever that we've posted too, but every single photo that was in the top 9 we took with our little crappy Sony a6000.
This thing's like 5 years old too, and it still looks great.
Yeah.
So if you buy a camera tomorrow, your photos are going to look even better than ours.
Yeah, okay. Moving right along.
We're now transitioning to talk about media in specific. We're going to talk about social media after this, but right now we're going to focus on traditional media, as in magazines, newspapers, radio, and TV. I have a secret for everybody. My background is in TV news. I was a
Buckle up, guys.
Yeah, here, everybody ready? My background is in TV news. I was a morning news anchor for 4 years before we went full-time in this. And the thing about traditional media is, at the end of the day, there needs to be a new newspaper. At the end of the month, there's a new issue coming out of the magazine. And for every radio show and newscast, they're broadcasting something. And the majority of where all of us live, there's not enough news happening for them to fill this time. So the people creating these newscasts or these magazines or these newspapers are hungry for content. And if you figure out a way to pitch yourself in a way that is interesting or can pique the interest of whoever's making the decisions for what airs or what prints, you're going to be able to be featured in these magazines, newspapers, radio, TV for free in the form of a story, so you don't have to pay for ads. It's free advertising, and it's impossible to track the amount of money you will get from this.
And every single one of us operates in a market with a newspaper or a magazine or a TV station. Every single one of us. And just show of hands, how many of you have ever worked with somebody who other people ask you about or would be interesting to other people? How many of you have ever worked with somebody like that? Okay. How many of you, again, have started your own business? Right? Okay.
How many of you work in a neighborhood?
Ooh.
Yeah. How many of you are in New York right now? I mean, local Clothier builds up-and-coming neighborhood in Philadelphia or whatever.
Yeah. The fact that you're in New York right now is interesting to other people. You can contact the magazine or the newspaper or the TV station and say, hey, listen, I'm in New York right now. I'm getting the trends. I know what's in. I know what's out. I'd love to come on your show when you have time and talk about it.
Yeah. Anytime you need, 5 minutes filled or it's a slow news day, just let me know and I will come on and I will share what I learned at these menswear shows, and I'll tell you what's happening, what's coming in, what's going out, and some ways that your viewers can implement a new style. It's that easy. And if you are curious or if you think, hey, I'd be really good on TV, come talk to me afterwards. We're gonna have Q&A after this, but if you want more information, I can literally send you a sort of a template. You type in the people's names and you can send it to the news directors in your city, and chances are they're probably gonna want to hear from you and they're gonna want you to come on the show, because we are in an industry that has elements of glamour. And I know that not everything is glamorous about this business. Everybody knows that. The nitty-gritty, the frustrations that we all have. But this is an industry that has elements of it that people think is really interesting, and it's cool. And even if they don't think it's that cool, at least they're curious.
Yeah, when a plumber wants to advertise, they buy an ad somewhere or they get a billboard somewhere, and they're not going on and being talked about on a TV station, because that's just not content that most viewers want to watch. It's not sexy to them. It's not something that attracts a news director's interest. If you've started your own business, certainly recently, hey, I just started a business. I'm helping the economy grow. I'm operating in this neighborhood. I would love for you guys to come and check out what I'm doing. It's as simple as that. It can be more complex too. Kenny's going to tell you a story of something that we did that worked really well. But again, it's these things that we all have access to for free that I feel like is really under-tapped.
And we talked right at the beginning about identifying your strengths. This is not something that needs to be a strength of yours in order for you to make a lot of money from it. Let's say your strength isn't on TV. Okay, well then you can be in a magazine. And it's really easy to pitch your business or what's happening with your customers or whatever in a way that is going to pique the interest of a magazine.
Yeah,
this is something that everybody should be taking advantage of in some way, shape, or form, because it is available and they're hungry for content.
Yeah, I will say this too. We've done a little bit of everything. As a result of us literally telling, hey, I'm back from New York. We want to talk about trends. We're like the regular style people on two different TV programs. One's on Fox and one's on is it ABC? Yeah. In the Twin Cities. The best traditional media form for you to be in is magazines. And it's not even close.
And we're talking about this as far as the long game is concerned. As far as TV and making money is concerned, off the top of my head, one of the shows that we're on, the host has become a client, and over the last 2 years, I think he's bought 15 suits. So you can do the math on that. I also know every year we have sort of a fluctuating top 5 client, and we'll look back on the year and say, oh, these guys were our top 5 and spent the most. I know for sure one of them came directly from this TV host talking about us on the air.
So that's like the short game.
That's the short game.
Custom clothing, again, everything that we say is through a lens of custom clothing because that's what we do, that's what we know. Custom clothing itself is a long game. It's not about, somebody can't come and say, oh, my event's tomorrow. It's like, even if you paid me $100,000 for this suit, I couldn't do it for you. Like, it doesn't matter. The business itself is a long game. So a lot of what we're saying is like, don't focus on, well, tomorrow am I going to sell a suit because of it?
Then I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's about, how about we shift our mentality, and it's the person who just started following me on Instagram today, maybe next year or in 2 years, they get a promotion and they want 5 to 10 suits. It's about that guy. It's not about the guy that's going to come in tomorrow. Ooh, I like that.
Oh, it feels good to get an amen.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, if random applause breaks, we can work around it.
So as far as all the traditional media goes, what our experience has been is that the absolute best of any of them, if you had to just focus on one, it would be magazines. And here's why.
Rams, touchdown Rams, 10-13 right now, FYI.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh, you spoiled it.
Oh, uh-oh.
Way to go. So magazines, I think, are the best because unlike a newspaper that comes...
They are the best. It doesn't matter if you think they're the best or not. They are the best. And here's why.
Unlike a newspaper that there's a new one tomorrow, or a radio show, or a TV show which airs, and then maybe the video is posted online, but then after they've posted the other videos from the other newscasts, you're buried and you have to search for it. Unlike that, a magazine has a shelf life of months, sometimes up to years. It starts with the subscribers, then you can go to the newsstand and buy it, and then it's at the doctor and the auto body shop and the hair salon, and it lives for, like I said, sometimes up to years. And this is going to give you the longest and the most bang for your buck, the longest impact and the most bang for your buck.
And I will say too, we're talking about getting an article written about you. We've never advertised with a magazine, so I don't know if any of you guys have had good luck with that. I'm sure you probably have. But for us, it's like, we feel as though, and we've had experience advertising in some other avenues, we feel as though an article written about you has a lot more of an impact on a reader than what's clearly an advertisement for you. And we have people that come to us and they're like, oh, I saw your ad in MSP Magazine. And we're like, sweet, the article did its job. It's not an ad, but if it reads like one, awesome.
So we'll just tell you a story briefly to sort of illustrate our point about the magazine thing. A handful of years ago, when Karl Anthony Towns, he plays for the NBA, he was the #1 overall draft pick, and because the Timberwolves suck so bad, we had the #1 draft pick that year. So he was drafted to our team, and we got an email on his behalf of somebody saying, hey, Karl was looking for some place to get suits when he moves to town, and he likes you the best. Consistency. Camera. He likes you the best, and he would like to have a suit from you if you would be willing to, throw it in, do it for free. And so we were like, absolutely, that's a great opportunity for us, but let's try to get some real bang for our buck. So we just sent an email. We cleared it with the person who emailed us initially, but we sent just a general email out to every TV station, magazine, and newspaper. And we just said, hey, we have Karl Anthony Towns coming into our studio to be fitted for a suit the first day he moves to town. This is sort of an interesting angle because we're not seeing him on the court in a jersey. This is a different side to the athlete that might be interesting to some of your readers or your viewers. Let us know if you'd be interested in coming. And this hasn't happened since, but every single person got back to us and wanted to be there. So we did not have them all there. We decided, okay, hey, listen, we're in the driver's seat. So we get to sort of decide how we're going to do this. And because we'd had a good experience in a magazine a couple years before, we said, okay, we're going to do it through a magazine because that's going to have the longest shelf life, the best impact. So we invited the magazine that we liked the best to come be there when we were fitting Karl Towns.
Yeah, and we had a couple stipulations because we were in the driver's seat. We're not often in this position where we can like say, yeah, I'll come if this, but we were like, number one, we have to be in the picture with Karl. We're gonna align ourselves like that so that people can see it. Number two, this isn't an opportunity for your writer to interview Karl about basketball necessarily. You need to mention where he is, why he's here, and what he's doing. And we're in the picture. They were like, okay, because they were hungry for the content. as are all news outlets. Every day, they're hungry for content. There are files of, on a slow news day, let's grab this idea and let's do it. They are hungry. And because they were hungry for the Carl content, we got to be in the driver's seat. We still have people to this day. Granted, this was, I don't even know, 4 years ago, maybe 4.5.
Yeah.
We still have people coming and saying, I saw your ad with Carl Towns in a magazine, and I logged it away, and now I'm ready to buy a suit. Most of your guys that you want, or your women that you want, they're going to see something in a media outlet, and they're going to log it away.
Yeah.
And then when they're ready, we're not an impulse buy. We know it. We're not like an ice cream store in a highly trafficked area. Oh, I could use a cup of ice cream. It's not like
cup
that.
of ice cream.
A cup. I don't know. I forgot the word cone for some reason. Sorry, guys. Oof. Yeah, we don't do it that weird in Minnesota. But everybody is hungry for that content. I don't even remember what I was saying about ice cream.
We can just move on.
Just skip it. We're not an impulse buy. That's what I was going to say. You do a TV show, you're in a magazine, you're in a newspaper. The clients you want look at it, are interested in it, and then you don't hear from them for a year.
They're not going to act right away, which is why it's just important to keep at it, because
And to be
it
consistent.
will pay off.
Right.
It will pay off.
I will say this too before we move on to social media.
Which is our last point, and then we'll have some questions.
This is a good segue, and maybe I'm jumping the gun, but the only thing worse than not having a presence on social media is having a bad one. Because at least if you don't have one, when people look for you and they don't find you, they're curious. If you have a bad presence on social media, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about inconsistency, where if you're not posting regularly, if your pictures that you do post aren't that great, if some of the stuff you do is really good and some of it's not good, what people are going to do who are looking for your services, they're going to go on to Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and they're going to be like, oh, I like that, but I don't really like that. They're not even curious anymore. They're going to go somewhere else that's more consistent, where they feel like they can grasp exactly what you're going to do and exactly what you're going to deliver.
They want to see consistency in what they have access to when they're researching you, because they want to know that the product you deliver is consistent. They want to feel confident that when they walk into the door, they're going to have a product that looks good enough to be posted on Instagram. They don't want to wonder, maybe this is going to be one of their off days. Maybe this is going to be one of those really bad ones. Or, they want to have confidence, because as most of you know, this is not, like we said, an impulse buy. And sometimes it takes some explaining to explain to the clients that you're working with why the price is here, or why this store is offering this for that, and you're offering it this for whatever it is. Sometimes they just need to be encouraged, and they need to feel confidence in what they're about to do, because it's, to especially young and first-time custom clothing buyers, it's a big purchase for them. They've probably never spent that much on a suit. So they need to know, and they need to feel comfortable with what they're walking into.
Yeah, so social media, the primary one we use is Instagram.
Is everyone on that same page? Instagram is most beneficial?
And here's why. Okay. We used to, we're so long-winded. You guys are all experiencing it, unfortunately. We used to have a blog that we would do stuff on.
Can you imagine trying to read?
Oh, yeah, brutal.
Oof.
Just a lot of words. But no one wants to read why this looks good. You want to see it, you want to react to it, and you want to move on.
You want to like it, you want to not like it.
So Instagram, we had a blog. We use Facebook completely differently than we used to now. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit. But
we use Facebook to make sure that Steven's dad knows what we're doing.
Exactly, yeah. We pick on Steven a lot. Steven's one of our best friends. So yeah, we'll tell you some bad stories about him later.
One-way street.
Yeah, one-way street, yeah. Instagram, yeah. You want to see it, you want to react. It's visual. That's what our business is. It's visual. Yeah, well, let me see it. So Instagram is our main platform that we utilize. And what were we even talking about? I don't even remember.
Well, as far as these points go, these can be all treated. You think about the identify your strengths, buy a camera, traditional media, social media. These could all be building blocks. If you're utilizing all of them well, they could all build and compound on one another. And if you're just doing it all well, you are going to grow. You are going to make tons more money. Or if you really just want to focus on one thing, or if you feel like you're doing the other things pretty well, you just want to focus on one thing, you can do it separately too. But the building blocks are really crucial to being able to make more money. Granted, social media has changed a lot since we started utilizing it and since we opened our account. Our first year full time with Instagram, and again, now that Facebook owns Instagram, it's
The
different.
algorithm's different. You have to, if you want your content to be viewed, they oftentimes want you to sponsor it or buy it.
Yeah.
But our first year full time in business, we tracked it and we figured we made more than $100,000 through Instagram alone. And that's a real number that it doesn't matter if your business is doing $3 million or $30,000, $100,000 means something. And so it was both the idea of, we need, Instagram is something that people like and it makes us money. So we doubled down on it. And now it's the primary platform that we use. It's different now, like Kenny said, it's different. Our business has shifted. We're not spending as much time as we used to on Instagram, but it's still really important. It's still usually the first thing people will look up from you if they find you on Google. They're gonna look at your Instagram. They're gonna go straight there, and so having the content that's consistent, that we can out content big box custom clothiers. It's not even close. So it helps to have consistency. It also, Instagram is, as far as I'm aware, the only thing that gives guys like us direct access to high profile people that we have no business having access to. Because Instagram, if they happen to be active on their own Instagram account and they're looking at their messages, we know our content is consistent enough that if they check our message, they're gonna want what we have. They're going to want what we have to offer.
Right. That's the benefit of the way that Instagram has shifted over the years. Is back in the day, the DM feature, direct message, wasn't a thing, and we used to schedule appointments through the comments, and things would get buried. But now this direct message feature gives us this direct platform and this direct way to reach people that, like we said, we have no business. What is happening?
Preston's calling the police, it looks like.
Oh, if you hit the power button on your iPhone 5 times, it makes that noise, just in case you're wondering, everyone. To be safe, yeah. It's a safety feature. But it gives us a direct way to get in touch with people, and that's one of the benefits of the way that Instagram has shifted over the years.
So the thing everyone asks us about the most right now is, we work with the Mountain from Game of Thrones, Thor Bjornsson. He's the world's strongest man. We got him through Instagram. We saw he was in town, which Minneapolis doesn't really have a celebrity culture.
We have professional athletes, but the majority of them only even live in town for their season, and then they go down south or out west or whatever. So Minneapolis is a big city, but as far as celebrities are concerned, we just do not have
So when
that.
a celebrity comes to town, like, everybody knows that the celebrity's in town. So I had just seen that I'd never seen Game of Thrones. I didn't even know who he was. But I shot him a direct message on Instagram. I was like, hey, I bet you have a hard time finding suits that fit you. He's 6'9", 450 pounds right now. He's lean, but he's big everywhere. And so I was like, I bet you have a hard time finding suits that fit. If you're still in town tomorrow, we'd love for you to come on in, and we'll get you fitted for a suit. And he was like, okay, I'll be there. That was easy. So that platform, Instagram, it allows guys like us. I was sitting in sweatpants in my basement, and I made probably the biggest marketing win that we've ever had as a business. So it's times have changed, and as things change and as competitors continue to come, Minneapolis it's not a huge city, but our competition in the last 12 months has more than doubled. We used to have 5 competitors of note, and now there's probably a dozen. So as that continues to happen, it's important to be intentional about how you're using certain things, and the things that you are doing them better than other people.
You don't have to go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist to understand what you're good at and what your strengths are. You do not have to be a professional photographer to be able to take a good picture with a nice camera. You don't have to have a background in TV or media to be able to accurately pitch yourself in an interesting way that's going to help people in the media want to feature you because you're interesting.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a genius to be able to reach out to people through Instagram and have a consistent presence and be able to make a huge impact and make a lot of money by taking advantage of your strengths, being consistent, and being intentional about all of these things.
So that's it for what we're going to say. We have some time for questions if you guys have any. I think we did pretty good on time. Yes.
Yeah, you said you still use Facebook, but you said how you
Yeah.
Oh,
how
right,
use it.
right.
So can you talk about how you did use it and what is no longer working?
Yes.
And how you are using it today, and perhaps what you see as
Yeah, that's a good
future use of it.
that's a good question. So for those of you who couldn't hear, how do you use Facebook now? I mentioned that we use it differently. Facebook, so Instagram is our main one. Facebook is more of like a conversation, where when we post something, it's usually a question. Do you like this? Because what the algorithm has changed, but when people are commenting, their friends can see that they commented on a picture. So we used to be able to post a picture and 1,800 people would see it. They have the little analytics down at the bottom. When we had 100 followers, we'd post a picture and 1,800 people. Then they changed it and we'd post a picture and 25 people would see it.
Right.
So we post a picture, we both personally tag ourselves in that picture so our
Yeah.
friends can see we've been tagged in a picture.
You have to tag in the photo. You can't mention in the comments.
Yeah.
Because if you're tagged in a photo, their friends can all see it. But if you're just mentioned in the caption, they can't.
all of our
Today, it'll probably be different tomorrow.
all of our platforms are to get us more clients. That's the purpose of Facebook. But in order to use it well, that's how we've had to sort of manipulate it to make it work for us and to get eyeballs on it. The other thing too that is big is shares. If you can get shares, the post is going to do well. And so we did, I'm not sure how many of you have followed us on social media, but we did like a Santa photo shoot where we suited up actually like a formerly famous news anchor in Minneapolis who does like Santa stuff. Don't ask me, it's weird, I don't know. But we suited him up and we posted it and we tagged him and people started sharing it because Don Shelby was suited up in a really nice, really fitted Santa it's the creative content that when we use our strengths we can think of that we wouldn't do if I was sitting doing something I'm not that great
And
at.
then you think about the huge scale competitors of yours, and if Joe Schmo in Minneapolis had an idea to do this, the amount of work it would take to actually be able to feature this on their social because of all of the people that would need to be involved. That's the benefit of having this camera and having the ability to have fresh content like that is you can do it. If you want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah, so Facebook, did that help? Okay.
And I'm just curious what you think of the iPhone's camera.
The iPhone's camera is good. I love portrait mode. It makes me look like I'm super good and super artsy.
And
but
such a
it's still-
foodie.
It's such a foodie. Oh yeah.
Well, for like websites, you can't use
Right.
iPhone
It's
pictures for a website.
it comes down to how high quality is the photo itself. You blow up a photo you took on your iPhone, it's gonna be grainy. But it's also, you can always tell the difference. I can always tell the difference when our studio in Minneapolis has really great natural lighting. But when I take a picture of, Kenny's outfit for the website or for Instagram, it doesn't really translate. I'm sure you guys have had problems with guys who are like, oh, let me send this picture to my fiance, see what she says. And it's like, that doesn't look anything like the actual swatch. This thing can really help with that. And you really get a good gauge. And then when a client comes in and they say, I saw something on your Instagram that I want, it actually looks like what they think they want. If it's a bad picture, they're going to be like, oh, I love this. I want it. And you're like, all right, here's the swatch. And they're like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the one from this picture. So the iPhone's great, but a camera allows you to do more things. And there isn't a single picture on our website that we took with our phones. But we've taken most of the pictures on our website with our camera. So.
How do you compare what you get off of Instagram versus more of a corporate target client? Do you get them from that route as well?
Yeah, that's another way that Instagram has changed.
Attorneys and
Yeah, that's a way that Instagram has changed for the better. Is a lot of those guys are on Instagram now, and where it used to be our first year when we tracked it and it was $100,000. It was mainly young guys, grooms who were getting married, or future grooms. But now it's like if somebody mentions our Instagram, there isn't really like a cookie cutter person. We've done a huge part of our business is guys in the financial sphere, and a lot of those guys have Instagram.
The majority of, because we always ask, how'd you find out about us? We're curious what's working and what's maybe not working so
we
well.
didn't even mention this. Okay, keep going.
Oh, he's a mind reader.
You're gonna have to wait though.
So another thing that's really nice is that Google, everybody's finding us through Google now. And one of the indirect results of being active by taking advantage of the media that's available to you, traditional media, is that it doesn't matter if these people are coming in for an appointment tomorrow. They're going to your website, and the number of clicks you get when you're featured somewhere on TV, magazine, newspaper, radio, you'll get a bunch of website hits, and that helps bump you up in the searches.
Right.
And Danny and I have been underneath the ads, because we don't pay for it, but we're the top Google search when you search custom suit Minneapolis, and we have been for years.
No one's
because
it doesn't matter who moves to town and starts doing it. No one's going to be able to catch us.
Because of all of the hits we've had over all of the years we've been doing this.
And I will tell you, there's a lot of great clothiers in your town.
There are, yes.
So
Yeah.
it's
What's your
impressive.
Instagram handle?
Our Instagram handle is King Bros Clothiers.
Way back there.
Hi, thanks for your time today. Can you talk a little bit about just asking for referrals from clients that are satisfied to buy from you
Yeah.
every couple seasons or whatever, just kind of your magic?
Yeah, we're not really doing the financial planner, give me 5 names thing. It's more organic than that. Our business ebbs and flows, just like all of yours do. There are good times, there are leaner times, there are times where we're high-fiving each other, and times where it's like, all right, let's.
Are you sure you need to go get a LaCroix today?
It's not that bad, but so there are times where I think we're a little bit more intentional about asking for people. Hey, do you know that friend you mentioned? We don't have anything, and this is probably something we should implement because I think it would be great. We don't have anything implemented where this guy was happy and then here's the course of action now to get referrals from them. It's more so about just for us being active and engaged with them.
And another thing that we do as far as trying to connect with these people is if somebody is interested and it seems like it's going to be a really good lead, and all of us have been in the business long enough to know, for the most part, when someone's actually interested or they're just trying to end the conversation.
If I had $1 for every time somebody said, next time I need a suit, I'm going to get it from you, I wouldn't have to sell suits anymore.
Yeah. But what we say is when someone's like, hey, could I get a business card? What I say is, give me yours, and then I will email you. Because chances of them reaching out are not very good. Because it's not an impulse buy. It takes a little bit of effort. You have to schedule the appointment. You got to come to my neighborhood. So give me your info, and I will reach out to you, and then I can send you hyperlinks to my website. I can show you examples. I'll attach pictures. If you're still curious, I can send you to some articles that have been done, and I can control the message that I want you to hear about.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought
Cool.
again. Awesome.
Great.
Let's keep going.
All right. Yeah.
Is email marketing part of your strategy? And if so, how do you actually have a strategy to take people from Instagram to get on your list, to sort of that?
Yeah,
for that long lead before they actually buy a suit?
Right. Yeah, we don't have like a light box that pops up on our website that's like, give me your email information. We don't have that. We do email marketing, but it's for lack of it's inconsistent but consistent, if you know what I mean. We're not every week sending out a new thing. We're not the promotion guys. We're not guys who every day have a new promotion. You go to a furniture store, they're like, it's the 4th of July sale. And then it's like, it ends tomorrow. And then it's like, oh man, I missed the promotion. You come back in, they're like, Labor Day, and it's the exact same promotion. We're not the promotion guys, so we're not constantly doing that. It's more thought out and intentional, where it's like, if we have something to say, or if we are looking at our appointment calendar, and it's like, we could use some more appointments. We come up with like something strategic and creative to send out.
I wouldn't say that email marketing is a strength of ours, though. I don't think we take advantage of it the way that we probably should.
Yeah.
And I heard from, we were like, oh man, I feel so bad. We just sent an email to our whole list 6 months ago. Everyone's going to be so annoyed. But I heard from someone once, they're like, I wish you would send us more emails so we actually can be kept up in the loop. And we're not great at that
There's
yet.
a lot of things that are great for businesses that it's not something that we've doubled down on, that we've decided, because it's not a natural strength. And then there are some other things that we have and have worked really well. But that's just our experience.
How much time do you spend on, how much time per day do you spend on working on your business through social media?
We try to post on social media around 5 times a week, unless we've got something really fun that's happening. And I apologize for those of you who do follow us. I apologize over the last month for all the Santa photos and all the mountain photos.
Yeah.
There were so many, but it's like we just were doing it, and we didn't really care. When Thor, the world's strongest man, when he posted about us when we were with him here in the city last month, we got 1,500 followers in less than 24 hours.
He had, up until that point, he had posted photos of himself wearing suits from us, and
we were tagged in.
tagged us in the photos. But when we were together last month, he posted about us, so it was one fewer click for people, and we got like 1,500 new followers in 24 hours.
Yeah. So then we were like, okay, well, to satisfy these followers, let's post a little bit more about Thor. So that's why. I think so. We try to be, five times a week.
I would say it's probably about
It's about
45 minutes to an hour a day.
Yeah.
Where we're intentionally, whether we're like snapping photos of some new deliveries,
Yeah,
thanks.
absolutely.
Whether we're snapping some photos of some new deliveries and banking some photos for a rainy day, or we're just sitting there saying, I don't know what the caption should be. I'm the worst at captions. I don't know. We're talking about it. We're actively engaged in it. I would say probably an hour a day.
yeah.
Of all your followers, do you think or worry about where they're located and whether they're in town or not in town? Do you know how many of your followers are local to your area or are all over the world?
We don't, but how we get followers is we will go through like a great restaurant in Minneapolis. We'll click on the location and see all the pictures tagged, and we'll interact with those followers. So there's a good chance they're in Minneapolis. I honestly would rather have 100 followers that are all in Minneapolis and gonna be clients than however many I have. I always think it's way more about the right eyeballs than just a lot of eyeballs. So
How do you get more followers?
that's one of the ways is you have to. So if you go on to Instagram, I'm gonna use an example here. Let's go to London Hotel. Okay, so type in London Hotel. All right, where are we? London, NYC. Do they even have an Instagram account?
You can go to the location. Check-ins.
All right, let's do that.
Here it is.
Here we go. So you're gonna see that. You're gonna see there we are. Pictures tagged. If I had a shop in Midtown, I would be on here, and I would be, granted these people are from out of town because it's a hotel, but a great restaurant.
Go, yeah, restaurants or, jewelers.
I would be
or
interacting. I would be liking.
car dealerships.
Like this photo. Comment.
Do that.
Comment. Looking good, guys. The chances of them following you
That they
back,
follow you back.
are good.
If you've
So
been
they're
engaging
going,
to
like,
them.
Who is this guy commenting on mine?
Right.
Like, and they're gonna check you out.
Right. It's time consuming. And when our first year full time, when we, tracked it and made a lot of money, I was spending about 3 to 4 to 5 hours a day doing that. Our business is different now.
You
though.
get to a point where you have a certain number, and then there's sort of an organic
Yeah.
way that it takes care of itself.
Yeah.
You guys said you do that as far as
Yeah.
commenting and liking. So how do you feel about I've never used the bots, but I heard about the.
We've never bought followers.
Right.
I,
Well, he means like the bots, automatic bots that
oh,
does that for you. They like and comment on people's pictures.
oh,
I'm not.
I don't really know anything about that.
If you could hone it in and say, let's do that in this area, I think it would be great.
Yeah, I think there's.
I mean, if it works and it makes you money, do it. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
within reason.
We've never. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
FYI, everybody, it's almost 5. There's a couple more questions we can answer, and then we'll still be here. And we're going to the thing tonight. So if you have a question that just is, lighting a fire inside of you, you can come talk to us here, or you can talk to us at the dinner tonight.
Okay, we'll take a couple more. Is there something back there?
Oh.
Yeah.
Curious, you said you had 100,000 coming from Instagram
Yeah.
a year. So were those promoted posts or were
No,
they all
that was before sponsored posts existed.
Yeah, the
It was
question.
before DMs existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the content, what's you guys' opinions on recycling content?
We do it. I think so.
We don't do it like from last
No.
week.
We're pretty intentional about our top 6 photos. I don't want my top 6 photos to all look the same because then it looks like your page is stagnant. So we like to have different types of things: up close outfit photos, photos of a client wearing something, a photo of us doing something. But recycling content is, I mean, if you've got a lot of great content, feel free to reuse it, but don't do it, a week later. What's that? Oh,
Just make sure that they have to scroll to find it.
yeah.
I mean,
Or if you're gonna do it, then delete the other one.
Right.
So when they're looking at your stuff, they're not being like, oh wait, that's that suit again.
So like, you talked about like how to take the content, right? Like, good cameras, all that good stuff. But I noticed, some of the stuff that you guys post like garners the most attention is action shots. Like what specifically, like for example, I work at a store. I don't always have access to like my customers prancing around the city looking dapper in the suits that I made them. So what are some tricks that you use to like help get content from your customers or help get your customers in action, above and beyond the guys that have a high profile?
Yeah. First thing, you have to leave the building. You have to ask them when they have their thing on, hey, can we step outside and can I get a
which
couple
starts
pictures
with
of you?
scheduling enough time. Where if they have enough time, if
Yeah.
they see that you're really excited about how they look, they'll be happy to let you take pictures.
And with
of them.
this specific lens is like a focus lens, so it sort of blurs the background out.
What is
so it
that
doesn't,
called? Is there a term for that? Where it's like you're focused up close, but then the background is blurry.
It's a rack up.
A rack focus lens. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what this is. So it doesn't matter that almost every single picture I ever take is on Quincy Street Northeast. It looks different, and because they're the focus of the photo. So I think to have like the action type of thing, I think people don't want to see the background. Getting them outside, getting them to, and we have our basic thing. We're like, all right, act like you're buttoning your jacket. All right, fuss with your lapel. Okay, pull your cuff out. Okay, and I'm just like boom, 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 and it's an action shot.
Or as they're putting it on, or like details. That's always easy.
Yeah.
We're not. I mean, I wish we were able to be, have the foresight to be able to snap pictures of every single client that we like the way that it fit. But that's not realistic. We don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. But just when you think about it, a series of details, and then a couple from a distance, and if you have the right camera, it doesn't matter how good or how bad the lighting is, the background is, the picture itself is going to look good. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Let's wrap it up, and we'll be here if you have other questions.